Welcome to The Margin Line, a dental business show by Dandy. Dr. Len Tau, what a pleasure to have you today. We welcome you and we're anxious to hear all of your expertise. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me today. I look forward to spending the next 30 minutes or so with you talking about dentistry and how I help the industry and all about my career path, I guess is a good way to say it.
Well, speaking of your career path, how did you get started?
My dad was a dentist. He actually had an office in our home where I grew up in Rockland County, New City, New York. I would venture down as a child to the lower level, or the basement, as I like to call it. But my dad called it the lower level, to where he had a practice. It was a home office. He left a huge impression on me. I decided to go into dentistry. I remember very specifically what my mom said to me when I said that. She said, "You're selling yourself to the devil." That's what she said to me when you become a dentist. So that was not the best way to kind of congratulate me on choosing that career path. But my dad had made a huge impression on me. I watched him change people's lives and smiles, and I decided to go down that career path.
So when you walked across that stage at graduation, what were your thoughts? What were you going to conquer?
Well, I knew that I wanted to go into my own practice. I knew that I did not have the mentality or the fortitude to be an associate. So I knew at some point I would get my own practice. Going into private practice was a rude awakening. Interacting with patients, the interpersonal skills, the conversational skills, the case presentations. The dentistry was the easy part, and yet I didn't know enough about dentistry, to be honest with you. So it was a big, steep learning curve for me. And I was an associate in 3 different practices, and I spent about 4 years in one of them before I ended up buying my own practice. But it was a big learning curve. I thought I knew everything, and I knew nothing.
So looking back, you have some wisdom behind you at this point. What would you tell new graduates? Hey, this is what you need to know.
Well, I think you need to do as much dentistry as possible. I did not want to come out of dental school not doing enough procedures, and I didn't want to come out and have to practice in real life. So if you like something in dental school, embrace it and do a lot of it, so you come out very confident in your clinical abilities. So that's number one. Number two is be a sponge. Just be knowledgeable. Take a lot of continuing education, not only on the clinical side of things, but on the business side of things. Dental schools do not teach business. I happen to have been a business person, so I didn't have to learn those things. And a sales guy, I didn't have to learn those skills, but dental school doesn't teach you those things. So I think, be a sponge, learn a lot, go out, do as much dentistry as possible, because when you come out, you will be that much better of a person and a dentist.
Great advice. So you purchased your practice, the Pennsylvania Center, for Dental Excellence, in 2007.
Correct.
What made you purchase that dental practice?
So I had been an associate, like I said, from 1999 till 2007 at this point, 2006 really. And I knew that I wanted to be an owner. Like I said, I just was waiting for the right opportunity. I actually had gotten divorced and remarried. It was now time to look for a practice. This particular practice had a lot of the things that I wanted. It had basically the shell of an office. It was a fee-for-service office, which was very important to me. I did not want to go into an insurance-based practice. And the team ended up staying with me. So I had the team. Obviously, I had to generate patients, and a lot of patients met me and left because I wasn't the old doctor. A lot of patients met me and stayed. But that was the main reason why I wanted this one, was because it was challenging. And I'm always up for a challenge. I got it for a very fair price, considering the dentist had passed away. And again, the team was there to support me and had a really good bones of a practice. I bought the practice in March of 2007, and I purchased the building in September of 2007. So after we gutted the building and we redid everything, I was about $1.8 million in debt. My debt service at that point was just shy of $15,000 a month that I owed to the bank before I even opened the doors. So for me, generating and marketing the practice became a very big thing. And I didn't love what the gurus were telling me. They wanted me to do yellow pages. They wanted me to do billboards. They wanted me to do mailers. They wanted me to do, all the traditional marketing. And I was someone who's always been on the internet. So I literally decided to do it on my own. And I learned how to market on my own. I learned how to generate patients. Obviously, online reviews played a huge role as time went on with that. But I threw a lot of darts, spent a lot of money, hit things really well. And my practice started to boom. And that's really why I'm in the position I am today, because I took my own practice, which needed to generate new patients, and did it for myself, and then was able to teach other dentists how to do the same thing. And what I also did was I learned every aspect of my dental business, my dental office. If I was there by myself and I had 8 hands, I can do every single thing in the office I needed to do. I learned how to call insurances. I learned how to deal with Dentrix. I knew my numbers. I knew everything about my business that someone had to know. And I burnt out. I burnt out. I worked my butt off. I was only working 25 clinical hours a week. So we were open 9 to 5 on Monday, Tuesday and Thursday, 12 to 8, and Wednesday, 9 to 1. So I had a really good schedule, but I was spending 40 to 50 hours a week on the business side of things to learn how to run it. I had team members, but I was learning it myself. So in the beginning, I was doing it myself because I learned everything. And, the practice I sold October of last year, October of 2021. So it's just shy of a year ago. And I am still mentoring the new business owner, but I basically learned, I'm trying to pass on all the tips and tricks that I learned during my tenure to her so she can run a successful business as well, because the dentistry is the easy part. Running the business is the hard part.
So if we could, turn back the time machine, you said that you got a little burned out. Is there anything that you would have done different back in 2007, 8, and 9 when you were going through that steep learning curve?
So one thing, I would have hired people sooner. I would have definitely, one of the biggest things that lifted off my shoulders was when I hired a bookkeeper to handle the books. And I didn't do the day-to-day stuff related to that. Honestly, I never was someone who went into the bank account every day and looked at my stuff. I didn't do that. That was not something that I was worried about. It was never, but the practice always did well. When I bought the practice, the previous owner did $1.2 million. That's the number that he ended the year at. And that was back in 2007. So just with inflation, you can know the numbers now are pretty impressive. Fee for service, no insurance. The first couple of years, I struggled. I was, I think, 750 the first year, a little over $1 million the second year. When we hit 2010, my marketing really started taking off. And in 2011, 12, and 13, I was doing $2.5 million a year, working 3.5 days a week. So we were pumping it out. We were doing a ton of dentistry. I had no life other than the practice. I was leaving. I was exhausted. But once I gave up the books, I think it really allowed me to focus on other things and not worry about the business side as much as I was.
Okay. So you sold your practice, looking in the rearview mirror again. Was that a difficult decision? Easy decision?
So interesting enough. So the story goes that I was planning, I would say, for an early exit from dentistry. I'm 49 years old. I didn't expect to retire at 49 or 50. And I knew that one thing I wanted to do was sell the practice. I did not want to be the owner of the practice anymore. I didn't mind doing the clinical dentistry, but I didn't feel like I had the time or really the wherewithal to want to be an owner any longer. So in January, we put the practice up for sale before COVID. And then COVID hit. And that totally derailed our plans. And again, I had put the practice up for sale before COVID. And during COVID, I woke up one day and I said, I'm done. I said, we're moving to Florida. And literally, we flew down. We found a brand new home. And in October of last year, 2 years ago, October of 2020, we moved to Florida. And I still owned the practice at that point. So it wasn't until next year that I actually sold the practice. So I was commuting back and forth every single week, working my 2 days a week. I've always been a 2-week day a doctor since 2017. So it wasn't that hard to just work a couple of days in Philly, fly back, because I was always on the road anyway, and then spend the rest of the time down in Florida and do that. Now, again, I found my associate joined me in, it would have been August of 2020. After COVID, she joined with no intention to buy the practice. And she realized that it was a very well-run machine. And in June of 2021, she made an offer on the practice. And I was like, sold. I didn't even wait a second to tell her. So that's kind of how things kind of developed into selling the practice. It is actually, we're filming this at the end of September. So it's literally officially 1 year ago. Tomorrow, the practice is sold. So I've not been the owner for 1 year now. I have zero stress. I live a great life. I can afford things, but it was really because I planned to do things right. I created a 401k. I put a lot of money away. I did all the things necessary in the business side of things to be able to allow me to get out of the business and focus on other things that I enjoy.
Outstanding. Tell me and our audience about raving patients and bird eye, and what is your mission to improve both dentistry for patients as well as for other dentists?
So while all this was going on, which we didn't even discuss, I realized how important online reviews were for my practice. And when patients were coming in, I would ask them, because that was my job, why did you choose my office? Why did you pick us? You passed all these other dentists coming to me. Why me? And the big answer was, well, you have the best or the most reviews. And this is back in when I had 95 Google reviews. I mean, this is a long time ago. And a light bulb went off that I needed. This is where my mission was. This is where my passion became. And I created a piece of software called iSocial Reviews, which was my platform to help offices generate reviews. And it was proving a concept. I had no intention of growing this big business. But I started going to trade shows. My first trade show was in 2013 at Yankee Dental. Called them up on the phone and said, I need the cheapest remnant space you have. I don't care if you put me the farthest booth back. I need to get in for cheap. I don't have any money. We created this product, went to Yankee, and 9 dentists bought the product. And I knew I had something. Okay. Over the first 18 months, I sold my software to 180 dentists. And again, it was called iSocial Reviews. And in September of 2014, Bird Eye came calling, and Bird Eye acquired my company from me in September of 2014. So I'm now at the 8-year point at Bird Eye. We are a reputation marketing company. We help dentists generate online reviews, get ranked higher online. And this became literally everything I was involved with. It was so much about me helping other dentists. And it wasn't only about me making a sale. People who know me know that's not what I'm driven by. I loved educating patients. I got on the stage and started teaching about how important online reviews were, and my speaking career took off. In 2012, I won the ADA New Speaker Contest in San Francisco and was immediately put on the next ADA in 2013 and in New Orleans. I had a forum to talk about how important these were to help generating your patients and have them come into the office. And I mean, I've given over 450 presentations in 10 years. It's been a wild ride for me, but raving patients came about. I was just talking to a patient, and the patient said to me, I want to be one of your raving patients when they read my reviews. And I was like, that's it. That's what it is about. And that's been the thing, everything that's revolves around me. I have a Facebook group called Raving Patients. I have a book called Raving Patients. I have a podcast called the Raving Patients Podcast. That became my brand. And it's really to look, raving patients, you could be raving mad or raving good. I want them to be raving good and talk about you online. But I created this forum online in my Facebook group, Raving Patients, for people to post reviews online, could be good or bad, and get advice from the 4,200 people in the group. So that's kind of been the way I've been dealing with things over the last few years. It's really helping my fellow colleagues. I don't charge for a lot of the things I do. It's just my give back to the community that has really helped me grow my life. And that's really what it comes down to.
That's absolutely amazing. Tell us more. Let's dig a little bit deeper, if you will, about Bird Eye, and how do people get started? And let's just say I'm a new graduate. What do I do?
Talking to new graduates, I think the first thing you need to do is establish an online presence. Even if you put your apartment and get rid of the address, but have a Google My Business listing with your name on it, and ask patients who you're treating in school to generate reviews for you. It's very easy to do. Just asking, it may not be that easy to get them, but getting some of them, when you go out into your career path and either join a practice or start a practice, those reviews will follow you wherever you go. So it's really important. The new dentists, the new people coming out, have something called social capital. They have the social stuff. They have the Facebooks and the TikToks and all these other social. They need to have the online presence to match that. And that will put them so far ahead of the game when they actually go out into their real world, as they call it, and either become, like I said, an associate, an owner, or a resident, or whatever they're going to do. So that's the first thing I recommend. If you're a seasoned dentist, the first thing you need to do is go online and look yourself up. People like to put their head in the sand and bury it because they don't want to see what other people are saying about them. No, you need to go ahead and see what's being said about you. So look your practice up online, look your name up online, and see what other people are saying about you. If it's good, that's great. If it's not so good, you got a long way to go, and there's only way is one, is up. Okay, but simply start by asking patients to generate reviews. You'll see that 3 to 5% maybe do it that way, but if you don't ask, you're not going to get. I think that's a big thing, is you have to take action. And the action is, okay, easy. Let's ask my patients to write some reviews for me and see what happens. That's the first thing to do. If eventually you need help, that's what I do. We integrate with the practice management software. We automate the process of generating reviews through the patient practice management software. And we take the patients directly to Google, and within one click of their phone, they're able to write the review in one step and be done with it. It's a very easy way. We work with just shy of 10,000 dental offices now in in the 8 years I've been there, we've grown from 220 to almost 10,000. I run the dental division for them. So I am the dentist who speaks to all the dentists who reach out to Bird Eye. And it puts me in a really great position because I'm one of their colleagues. And even though I won't be a practice owner, I've been doing this long enough that I have the credibility in the space. A lot of people know who I am. And I'm really fortunate that I've created this name for myself in the industry. When people have a problem with reviews, they say, hey, reach out to Len. He can help you. And that's what it comes down to.
Let's just say I'm in my 30s and I bought a practice, my first practice. Now I'm a dental practice owner. Not an associate anymore. What would be a goal for number of online reviews in a couple of years of owning that practice?
Online reviews are very dependent on the number of patients you're having in the office. So if you're a very busy practice, such as an oral surgeon practice, because it's all new patients, a pedo practice where you see a ton of kids, you're going to have a larger ability to get reviews from your patients. I have oral surgeons who have 1,300 Google reviews. I have pediatric dentists with 1,500 Google reviews. They are in a whole realm of their own. For a general dental practice, one doctor, one hygienist, 16 to 20 patients a day, a good number to strive for is 8 to 10 per month. So you're talking about 100 per year. That's really, and 100 is the kind of the golden nugget number, the number that you should be able to reach. And then really what it allows you to do, it allows you to expand your marketing. If you're new in business and want to generate new patients to your practice, you can't market your practice really well if you don't have reviews as the foundation. So the reviews are the foundational stuff out there. Once you generate the reviews, it allows you to almost do any type of marketing, whether it be SEO, search engine optimization, Google AdWords, or pay-per-click advertising, any type of retargeting that you want to do. Retargeting is a way to target patients who are looking at someone else's office online. There's a whole pixel they place, or even paid social media. Anything you do online the results will only be increased as the more reviews you have. So that's kind of the fuel that lights the fire to be able to market your practice online. So that's why reviews are so important. So once you start there, and once you get to that golden nugget of 100 reviews, you should start seeing that marketing take off. Prior to that, you may struggle with the marketing that you're looking to do.
So, Len, you use some terms that aren't dental, so to speak. Let our audience, or if you would expound to our audience, what is a pixel? What is SEO? Kind of take us into a deeper dive of that, if you would, please.
So a pixel, just so you know, a pixel is a piece of coding that's put on various things to be able to track the movement of people throughout the various spots on the internet. So you want to put a pixel on your Facebook page. You want to put a pixel to track the movements of your followers, people who are searching for you. So you know what they're looking for and where they're looking. So you're able to retarget them in this case. Okay. So that's what a pixel is. Search engine optimization, SEO, is the process of having a company get you ranking higher on the organic listings, which is below the maps of Google. So they're going to go onto the back end of your website. They're going to make some changes to the way the site looks to Google. And over time, the goal is to increase your ranking below the maps of Google. That's called search engine optimization. You go to a company to do that. A marketing company would do the SEO for the practice. So just to be clear, you don't do that yourself. You hire a company to do that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be your website company. It could be a company that works with the website company. It could be the company that does the website, but it doesn't have to be, just to be very clear on that. This is not a do-it-yourself job. I would just like, most dentists have a bookkeeper do their books. This is something that I would have a website company or an SEO person do for a dental practice. I would not do it yourself.
So let me ask you this. I get a bad review. What do I do?
So it's funny. That's exactly what I get asked every single day. And I have a class I give called, "Oh my God, I got a bad review. What to do?" And that's why I do it, because literally every day someone puts a review in the Facebook group wondering what to do. So the first thing is relax, don't panic, and take a deep breath for 20 minutes, because you don't want to respond in a way that will hurt you. Okay. So as I always say, a bad review may spoil your breakfast, but you should allow it to spoil your lunch. And it's going to hurt, and I always say that if you haven't received the bad review yet, you haven't been doing dentistry long enough. Similar to the fact that if you haven't broken an endo file, you haven't done enough endo. If you have not got a bad review from somebody in your dental office, then you haven't been doing dentistry long enough. It's simple. Now, responding is certainly up to the practice themselves. I generally do not recommend responding to a bad review online.
Okay, why is that?
Because it can have major ramifications of how things appear online. You also don't want to allow the patient to re-respond to somebody. So I think it depends in most cases. If the patient's crazy, do not respond. That review may get a lot worse when they re-respond. What I prefer practices do is personally reach out to the patient And I want the doctor to do this, not the office manager, not the dental assistant, not the hygienist. I want the doctor to call the patient, apologize for the issue, fix the issue, or see if you can fix the issue. And most of the time, the patients will take the reviews down. Most of the time, not all the time, because that's what most people leave a bad review for, is because they want to be listened to.
In your experience, are the online reviews that are negative more dental related or financial related or other issues?
So 100% of the time, well, not 100%, but most of the time, you're going to find that the reviews does not have anything to do with the dentistry part of it. Okay. So patients will write about customer service. They'll write about money. They'll write about the practice running late, all things that are avoidable. They do not know that a dentist did bad dentistry. They don't know that you have an open margin. They know that you caused them pain per se, but very few reviews are written about the dental experience. It's about the customer service in the office, which you can definitely correct and fix. So, the only way someone really knows they had a bad dental work done is when they go to another dentist. And the other dentist tells them that who did your previous dentistry, they were not very good. And then they may write something about the clinical aspect of things. But patients don't know if you did good work or not. It's that simple. If you do respond online, you always want to say you're sorry, even if you're not. And I recommend the same thing. We're sorry the experience happened. We want to know that we take feedback seriously. What could we do to address the issue? But definitely, you want to always say you're sorry.
Outstanding advice. Thank you. So, from a reputation standpoint, what are some red flags that you see that when a patient is looking at you online that, not so good?
I think one of the most important things is you have to have a consistent flow of reviews. Patients want reviews to be frequent, consistent, and positive. Now, you don't only have to have 5-star reviews. I think having only 5-star reviews makes you look not credible. So in that case, I always say if you haven't got a bad review, piss a patient off once in a while, because you want them to write a bad review once in a while for you. But the perfect score is somewhere between 4.6 and 4.9. If you have 5 stars, you're not a perfect business, in my opinion. You want frequent, fresh reviews coming from your patients. That's, if not, you're going to have major red flags with those patients. Anything less than like 4.3, 4.2, even into 3 stars, patients are going to look at you online and question whether they should come in or not. And you may be busy. You may have be booked out 6 months for hygiene. But the thing is, your patients don't call you up and say, guess what? I'm not coming in because you suck online. They just don't come in. So you don't really know what you're losing. So even if you're a bit busy, you need to make sure that you avoid these red flags when it comes to potential patients looking you up online. What do people do when they're referred to you? They used to pick up the phone and call. When my dad was a dentist in practice, they were referred to him and they say, hey, Joe Smith referred me. I want to come in for a dental appointment. Now they look you up online more often than not. So keep that in mind.
What role is the dental team play in all of this?
Huge role. I like to teach something called reputation culture. I want the culture of the office to revolve around reputation. That means that every single patient who comes in is, because we're asking those patients to leave reviews for the practice, have an ability to grade us or rank us. So they're observing the way the practice is running. They're observing the interaction between the patients and the team, or the team itself. They are watching you and they're going to grade you. So we always have to put the best foot forward. We always have to, come in with everything exterior that doesn't revolve around the daily practice out of the world. You do not want to show a patient any problems while they're in the practice, because they're going to write about it online. So having this reputation culture in the office allows everybody to kind of be on the same page. They know that they may get a bad review here and there, because that's the normal part of running a business. But the team will play a huge role, even asking for reviews. You want them to be involved in that process as well, and at least mention to the patient that they may be getting a message if you're doing it via messaging, or just asking them, hey, we hope you had a great experience. We would love you to go home and write a review about your experiences. Would you do that for us? So those are all things the team has to do with in things we're talking about here.
What happens when you see a teammate not necessarily on board with all of that?
I always tell a story at my seminars that I had a dentist reach out to me. He had, at the time, I think it was 55 reviews, of which 30 were bad. So he had 1.7 stars. But every single review was about the person at the front desk. The person at the front desk was rude, obnoxious, wasn't understanding, was short. Everything was there. And the dentist called me up and said, "What do you think I should do?" And I said, "You have to fire that person. You don't have a choice." And he goes, "Well, that's the problem. She's my wife." And it was like, "Well, then you have to divorce her." And he hung up the phone on me because he didn't like that answer. And even to this day, she's still working in the office. I check the reviews every so often, and the woman at the front desk is still getting the bad reviews. So nothing has changed over the years.
Wow.
You have to be
Wow.
proactive is what you have
Yeah.
to be doing.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. Well, let me ask you this. What has been one of your dramatic success turnarounds that you've seen?
So I've had many practices call me up because they are getting what I call trolled online and they have a really bad reputation online. And, I do consulting. I help them. I teach them the tools they need to really change the way they run the business. And once they start changing the way they run the business and they focus on generating more positive reviews, they go from 3.5 stars to 4.5 stars. And then the whole practice just reinvigorates. Patients love writing positive things to say about their dentist. You have to give them the ability to do that. And if you're not, you're hurting your practice in so many different ways. When you get a positive review and you can celebrate with your team and get excited, there's nothing like that in practice. In my office, we used to celebrate every review. We used to talk about them during our morning huddle. Those are all things we did when I was the owner of the practice. And I highly recommend you do the same, is celebrate those positives. Don't ignore the negatives and just run a better practice overall.
You have an upcoming meeting next year, I believe, that you're excited about, supercharging your dental practice. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
It's 1 year from now when we're recording. I'm super excited. I've always had a book of ideas. I've set goals throughout my life, and I was very fortunate. I've kind of achieved all my goals I set when I was a young kid. One of the goals I had was that I wanted to have my own meeting. And I waited till I felt that it was the time. I had the following, I had the credibility in the space. So in January of this past year, January of 2022, I decided to get ready to hold a meeting. Initially, I was not going to retire from dentistry until July of 2023, so next July. But I moved that up just because of the way things kind of evolved. And so September of 2023, September 29th and 30th, we have a meeting called Supercharger Dental Practice. It is a 2-day event in Delray Beach, Florida at the Opal Grand Resort. It's called the Business and Marketing Boot Camp. It's 1 day on marketing. The first day is on marketing. The second day is fully on the business side of dentistry. You'll take a lot of pearls away. I've got 17 speakers lined up to teach their expertise in the dental industry. I've got 27 sponsors already lined up. I'm excited. There's going to be some entertainment, some evening events. I'm really looking forward to it. So it's next September 29th and 30th, Delray Beach, Florida, called Supercharger Dental Practice. Be on the lookout for some ways to find out more and to register for the meeting.
Dr. Len, what effect does good reputation have on practice growth, specifically the margin line?
So I end all of my seminars, webinars, everything I do online with 2 words: that your reputation matters. And it does. A good reputation is probably the most important thing that you want to go for when it comes to your dental practice. As I mentioned earlier in the podcast, when you have a good reputation, when you have a lot of reviews coming in, you are almost able to do anything you want from a marketing perspective and have success. Without the good reviews or without a reputation online, it's very hard to market a practice that does not have a reputation or has a bad reputation. So if you think about it, if you're able to market your practice, and the typical marketing that you should be doing should see a 5x ROI. So if you're spending $5,000, you should be able to generate $25,000. Okay. But you need the reputation to do that. So a good reputation allows you to market, which allows you to grow your business, which allows you to make more money. So a great reputation or a good reputation has a huge impact on the way your business runs. Simple as that.
Okay, outstanding answer. Thank you for sharing that. We're going to do something called rapid fire questions. They're really intense, so buckle your seatbelt. Okay, ready? Dog or cat?
Dog.
Implant or bridge?
Implants.
Italian food or Asian food?
Asian food.
Fall or summer?
Summer.
Captain America or Batman?
Captain America.
Baseball or football?
Well, I'm a huge Yankee fan, and I'm a baseball.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
New York style pizza or Chicago style pizza?
New York style pizza.
Endo or extraction?
Neither. Because I don't do so. One of the things I did in practice was I chose to do what I wanted to do. In the last 5 years of practice, I didn't do a single extraction. I didn't do an endo. So I don't do any. I was a restorative dentist. So none of those things for there.
Len, it's been such a pleasure and an honor to talk with you this morning. We sure do appreciate you educating us and learning so much about your work, not only in your practice, but and throughout the dental community. Tell us how we can continue to follow you and contact you and reach out with you.
So I'm like one of the easiest people to reach out to. I'm uber responsive to everyone, and people who know me know that. So I'm happy to share with you a couple of ways. So first off, I have a Facebook group called Raving Patients, RAVING Patients. Feel free to join if you have interest. I have my own podcast called the Raving Patients Podcast, same name. I've written a book, actually 2 books. This is the first book called Raving Patients. I'm offering to anybody who's listening to this, if you want to email me at Len, Len, at drlentau.com. So it's Len at drlentau.com. Just email me. Let me know that you heard of me on this podcast, The Margin Line, and I will send you a digital copy, not the actual book, but a digital copy of my first book. I have a second book available on Amazon called 100 Plus Tips to Generating 100 5-Star Reviews in Just 100 Days. That's available for purchase on Amazon. And for those who want to call me or text me, I'll give you my cell phone. It's all over the internet anyway. It's 215-292-2100. And I'm happy to spend time with you for all your consulting needs.
Thank you so very much. You've been a rock star. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.